It was probably out in the middle of the river. I just saw a fireball and then it was just gone. So I haven't seen anything since they hit the river, but it was a CRJ and a helicopter that hit. I would say maybe a half mile off.
Safety Board released a minute-by-minute report using flight data and the recovered black box recorders. All 67 people aboard the two aircraft were killed when the U.S. Army helicopter collided with the commercial airliner last month.
The National Transportation Safety Board is now working to determine if the Black Hawk helicopter that collided with the American Airlines regional jet last month was giving the chopper pilots bad data, including crucial altitude information. 5 minutes before the collision,
the pilot flying indicated they were at 300 feet. The instructor pilot indicated they were at 400 feet. Neither pilot made a comment discussing an altitude discrepancy. At this time, we don't know why there was a discrepancy between the two.
NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy.
We are looking at the possibility of there may be bad data. We're looking at, were they seeing something different in the cockpit that differs from the FDR data?
Moments ago, senior correspondent Eric Shawn has been gathering the latest information here. Hi, Eric.
Hello, Martha. It is a dramatic and shocking sight when you look at that airplane. It is a Delta flight that took off from Minneapolis MSP Airport earlier today and landed about 2:13 or so in Toronto Pearson International Airport when it suddenly flipped over on its back, ending belly up. Thankfully, as we have said, that there were no deaths. There were 8 injuries reported. Officials, paramedics on the scene.
Hello and welcome back to Chakras and Cusswords podcast. Today we are looking at Skyfall, the astrology of the aviation disasters and some of the conspiracies. I will tell you if this is something that feels a little bit too chaotic and even seems a little bit too unsettling, you might want to turn it off. So we definitely blend the mystic and mystery here with some chaotic chaos. That's something that occurs in the cosmos, and we like to go deep into a lot of current events. So today we are taking flight literally into some of the biggest and real most cosmic, shocking aviation disasters and conspiracies that have surrounded them. I feel like, honestly, every time I turn on the news lately, there's been some type of aviation, crash, disaster, or something. And it's definitely very eerie, right? So we will be looking at some of the disappearances of planes, the MH370, the theories behind the TWA Flight 800, and even John F. Kennedy's plane crash. John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane crash. So we'll definitely be peeling back the layers of mystery, but we might not find the answers, and we might only be able to speculate and assume what is occurring. But what is the answers when they aren't just in the black box? Could there be some kind of cosmic alliance, some kind of cosmic energy? It's really hard to tell. But astrology has always been tied into major world events. It's nothing new, and aviation is no exception. So we will definitely explore the current transits and also look at some of the energy of the past. Might this be a cosmic fate of air travel? And of course, we've all heard the big conspiracies written, especially some of the most infamous crashes. For instance, 9/11 and Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash. Were there certain transits that played out over and over again? It's really hard to tell. But what's the deal with all of this energy? Could it be because Neptune is in Pisces and it's fueling the UFO sightings and the chemtrail conspiracies that many of us have heard before? Or could it just be that our reality is slowly mixing in with the area of illusion and disassociation of current conspiracies that have been reckoning the airway. Well, it's definitely a time to buckle up and listen to this podcast if it's something that you plan on getting into. So, this episode will definitely take off. So, let's dive into the astrology of the aviation disasters that have been the groundwork for a lot of media. So, I will say literally every morning, I feel like when I turn on the news, it's something. It's something that has to do with like aviation or airwaves or frequencies. Over the past 6 months, there's been several notable plane and helicopter crashes, and they've garnished a lot of significant media attention. And I don't know if the media is just talking about these because they are so current or if they are so transformative. But I know there's been like small plane crashes before, but I really feel like now it's something that is always being talked about currently, like numerously. And I'm not going to go over all the plane crashes or helicopter crashes because there have been a lot. But one of the big ones was the mid-air collision over the Potomac River on January 29th of 2025. And an American Airlines regional jet collided with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter near Washington, D.C. And all of the 67 individuals aboard the aircraft, actually both aircrafts, the Black Hawk helicopter and the airline's aircraft, both perished. They all passed away from the crash. So, investigation revealed that the helicopter was flying above its authorized altitude and had several surveillances being turned off. So there was a lot of speculation that this had to do with like staffing, and it also had to do with the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, just had some lack of, I guess you could say, communication, and also that it is believed that the helicopter that was flying too far up actually did not get the warning signal or did not hear the warning signal. So there's been a lot of speculation around that flight. There was also a Bering Air flight crash in Alaska of February 8th of 2025, and this crash was carrying 10 people and it crashed into the sea off the coast of Alaska during its route to Unalakleet to Nome. All occupants were confirmed deceased. Adverse weather conditions may have been something that really took this plane down, is what they're speculating. And the weather conditions included snow and fog. And there's definitely been a lot of search efforts, but the cause of the crash and the investigation has still not fully wrapped up and it's still being investigated. There was also the Scottsdale Airport collision on February 10th, 2025. A private Learjet 335A associated with the Motley Crue singer Vince Neil veered off the runway during landing at Scottsdale Airport in Arizona and collided with a Park Gulfstream 200. The pilot of the Learjet died, and the three others in the jet, including Neil's girlfriend, Rain Hannah Adrinelli, sustained injuries. The initial report suggests that there was failure of the jet's left main landing gear as basically being the contributing factor that led up to this crash. So these incidences have been highlighting and going on many aviation and safety underscore concerns, obviously. And people are wondering if there's any way to prevent a lot of these future tragedies. But it's definitely seen as something that has been very, I guess, almost like a big conspiracy because there's tons of speculations. One of the saddest cases was on January 31st of 2025. A tragic incident occurred in Northeast Philadelphia involving a medical transport jet. The Learjet 55, operated by Jet Rescue Air Ambulance, had just departed from Northeast Philadelphia Airport, and it was en route to Tijuana, Mexico, with a planned stop in Springfield, Missouri. So this was very sad because this was actually a child that was leaving the hospital. So on board was a 11-year-old Valentina Guzman, and she received some life-saving treatment at Shriners Children's in Philadelphia. Her mother, Lizette, was with her, and 4 crew members: Captain Alan Alejandro, co-pilot Jose de Jesus, and Dr. Raul, and paramedic Rodrigo Lopez. Tragically, the aircraft crashed shortly after takeoff, resulting in the deaths of all 6 individuals on board, as well as 1 person on ground. The crash caused a massive explosion, and many people actually had this crash on film, and people were sharing the film that they had of how volatile this crash was. And this crash actually led to fires and damage of multiple homes and vehicles in the area. Investigations are still ongoing to determine the actual cause of the crash. So there's a lot of speculation of what is occurring, and there's definitely been a noticeable rise in these air crashes recently, and with each incident, it has been its own specific cause. Some are factors that may be contributing to multiple trends, including increased air traffic, especially from being post-pandemic. So we have to remember that not so many people were traveling, but now it seems like the workload of busier skies, heavier congestion, and maybe even increased stress on airline operations. And the workload has definitely been taking a toll on that industry. There's also been a talk of pilot and crew shortages. So many have experienced the pilots, and aviation professionals have retired or left the industry. Some during the pandemic, and also some just recently. Another speculation is that a lot of experienced pilots, or less experienced pilots, but pilots who are still kind of, I guess you could say, newer, they aren't as seasoned as some of the professional pilots, have been being overworked. And when you're overworked, there's definitely tons of errors of fatigue and also miscommunication. So those overworked crews have been more prone to create errors, possibly. And like I said, this is all speculation of what could be causing the increase of some of these air traffic collisions or tragedies. Also, aircraft maintenance and aging vehicles. So some airlines and private operators have extended the service line of older aircrafts due to supply chain issues affecting new plane deliveries. Older planes require more frequent maintenance, and any lapse in this maintenance can create some type of tragedy. So for instance, if something is going wrong with the plane and for whatever reason they decided not to do a thorough check, could unfortunately really result in a huge accident. Also, increased private and medical flights. And this is interesting because I definitely think that there has been a huge increase in private and medical flights, just from what I've noticed in the past 10 years, that there has been a rise in private and medical flights, often operated by smaller companies that may have less stringent safety measures compared to major airlines. Extreme weather and climate change, definitely there is a lot of extreme weather and also turbulent storms and unpredictable patterns that have been making it very riskier. Turbulence has been related to a lot of injuries and also increased factors with some of these crashes. So it definitely is something to think about. Also, technology and system failures. Some of these crashes have been linked to system malfunctions, software errors, and outdated technology. New technology is meant to improve safety, but the integration issues can sometimes cause unexpected problems. And then we have the FAA regulatory oversight concerns. So some experts argue that safety regulations and oversight have been relaxed due to political and financial pressure, which may contribute to more incidences. Each crash is unique, but these factors together create more of a hazardous flying condition and also environment. Aviation safety agencies are investigating the trends to determine whether new policies or interventions are needed. Let's take a look at some of the planets and the area of influence that they possibly have with some of the zodiac signs that could be bringing more energy towards some of these collisions and tragic events. So the first one is Mercury. Mercury is known for communication and travel. Mercury governs transportation, movement, and navigation. Mercury retrogrades, which happen 3 to 4 times a year, are notorious for causing travel delays, miscommunication, and technical failures, which can extend in some of these aviation mishaps or problems. During this time, most of the time in February and January that we saw a lot of plane crashes, there was not a Mercury retrograde. So issues like faulty air traffic control systems and miscommunication between pilots and towers and mechanical problems are all Mercury related. We also have Uranus. So Uranus is known for having the energy of aviation, technology, and also shocks, and being very I guess you could say rebellious in some ways. So Uranus rules innovation, electricity, and sudden events. As the planet is linked to flights, Uranus transits can indicate aviation breakthroughs or disasters. Uranus in Taurus, which was in the area of 2018 to 2026, has brought instability in infrastructure, including aviation systems. There's been a lot of sudden accidents and mechanical failures or unexpected turbulence that could be related to a lot of astrological connection and also energy of Uranus. We also have Gemini and Aquarius. So during a lot of these flights that weren't successful, we did have a lot of Aquarius energy and also Gemini. So Gemini and Aquarius are both air signs, and both air signs kind of play an attributing factor to flight, sound, and also movement that could feel very chaotic. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and it is associated with travel, short distances, and flights, and also the logistics. We have to remember that Gemini has that area of logistic and also systematic, I guess you could say, approach or systematics, where Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and it governs aviation, aerospace, engineering, and technological advances. Also, we have to remember that Aquarius is known for having that almost extraterrestrial type of energy, and also the energy that is centered around energy of technology and artificial technology. When major transits occur in these signs, we often see aviation-related developments or some type of disruption. Now let's look at the ruler of destruction. as some might say. We have Mars and Pluto. So destruction and mechanical failures, and obviously the area of changing chapters, we really see that with Mars and, of course, Pluto. So Mars can represent machinery, engines, and, of course, big metal objects and even metal. So when afflicted, it can signal crashes due to mechanical failures or aggressive decision making. And then, of course, if you have something like Uranus tied in there, it definitely feels like aggressive and also spontaneous decision making. We also have Pluto is linked to death and also transformation. The energy of destruction can signal catastrophes and also big, huge accidents when it has a harsh aspect around aviation and related to certain points, such like Mars and maybe Pluto and Aquarius, maybe also the area of Uranus being opposing. But there's definitely a lot of area of movement with these zodiacs and these aspects. So the ninth house, when we look at the energy of the ninth house, there is a long distance travel energy that is really foreseen in the ninth house. The ninth house in astrology represents foreign travel and aviation. It is seen as a malefic transit like Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto, meaning it is a little bit difficult. And this area can correlate sometimes with aviation accidents and disruptions. So it does sometimes have that energy when it is aligned with Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto that can bring some disruption and also some accidents. A lot of times people would speculate that certain celebrities would have a Uranus in the ninth house and they would see energy around tragedy, such as big events or traumatic events. Especially, I believe Aaliyah had a Uranus in the ninth house, but I don't have her birth chart right in front of me, so this is all speculation. But there was definitely some energy that was related to that in a lot of celebrity charts. We also have recent aviation disasters in astrology kind of taking play right around Pluto and Aquarius hitting in 2023. And we have to remember that Pluto and Aquarius will continue on till 2044. Aquarius ruling technology and aviation is kind of like Pluto's entry into the sign of exposing weaknesses in certain industries, and especially in the industry of technology, where, let's be honest, we can't have traffic controllers who are not, I guess you could say, aware of certain technical malfunctions. That is basically the whole thing of traffic controllers, especially in aviation. We also have Mercury retrograde from December 2023, and then it will occur again in April of 2024, August of 2024, and also November of 2024 is when it happened. But during the time of January, we did not have any Mercury retrogrades. And these pieces often create that energy. We've had a strong Uranus in Taurus squaring Pluto in Aquarius from 2024 to 2025. Tension between this is often seen as sudden disruption, Uranus, and transformation of destruction with Pluto could increase the instability of the infrastructure, including aviation. So there's definitely been a lot of talk of what is occurring. Determining on Pacific years with the highest number of air crashes in the United States is challenging due to there's a lot of variations of data and also the inclusion of certain reports. It's really hard to have a actual date or an actual year that had the most aviation incidences. However, in the 1970s, it was often noted that there was a significant number of aviation accidents, and this period was very much like several high-profile crashes. leading to advancements in safety protocols. So this was definitely a time that they were looking at some of the mishaps in aviation and they were like, how can we improve this? So astrologically speaking, in the 1970s, it was marked with significant planetary movement and also alignment that some astrologers associated with the area of aviation transformation. So we had Uranus in Libra from 1968 to 1975. Uranus, the planet that was linked to innovation, technology, and sudden events, transitioning through Libra, creating that area of balance and partnerships. So this period characterized by shifts of societal structures and also relationships may have created a various sector where there was definitely some analytic approach of why and how come some of these crashes are occurring. Also during this time, there was Pluto in Libra, which was associated from 1971 to 1984. Pluto, representing the area of transformation and regeneration, also moved through Libra during this time. The combined influence of Uranus and Pluto is thought to have brought a significance of changes and challenges, potentially correlating for increased number of air accidents. But maybe with Libra, it was created some type of significant exchange or significance because Libra, as well as Aquarius, is also seen as an air element. So it's important to note that astrological interpretations are caused by certain perspectives of potential cosmic influence. The aviation and accidents are primarily analyzed through the areas of technical and environmental, and then of course we have human factors. So while the 1970s did have a large incidences of air crashes that led to sustainable change, we could hope that that is something that will continue to move forward. Another thing that I think that is very interesting with the Uranus and Taurus and how it affects aviation is Uranus rules aviation with sudden disruptions, while Taurus represents that energy of materials sustainability. And also the transit has shaken up the industry that may have to be looked at the areas of infrastructure, including air travel. So many of you guys know, I don't really think that like celebrities should be having their private jets and just traveling around the world and creating more traffic, I guess you could say air traffic collisions and creating so much harm on the environment. That's nothing that I think should be going on. But, you know, we've seen the area of unexpected mechanical failures and also supply chain issues that could be affecting the airplane maintenance and also production. And we kind of see that energy with the Uranus and Taurus, especially with Taurus being that energy of certain, I guess you could say certain materials and certain energy around that area of revenue. Also, we have to remember that Uranus governs technology, and its placement in Taurus has brought many glitches in aviation and also software issues. Then we have to look at the technological failures of the aircraft system. And what's also interesting about Uranus and Taurus is that Uranus and Taurus correlates with extreme weather, impacting flight schedules and increasing turbulence. We have to remember that Taurus is that is that earth sign that causes energy around the earth. And then we have something as disruptive as Uranus, really kind of like shaking things up. And then we have the financial struggles and the financial area of many airlines had forced economic instabilities, and Taurus rules that energy of money and materials, leading to layoffs, cost of cutting, and also reduced safety measures. I will say that I did look up and I can't remember the actual event, but I did look up an event where it did happen where Uranus was also in Taurus. So there are definitely some historical parallels with Uranus and Taurus. In 1934 and 1942, there was that energy of air travel growth. And the last time that Uranus was in Taurus, from 1934 to 1942, aviation saw rapid expansion. And with rapid expansion came a lot of risk. And they even had the Hindenburg disaster of 1937. And that disaster is known for many like explosions and Taurus, the aerial of material objects. And we saw that. We also saw in World War II aviation advancements, and also air combat was brought to sudden innovations, which also created that area where people were testing these innovations, and it led to many crashes. So in 2024 to 2025 is the final phase of Uranus in Taurus. Uranus squares Pluto in Aquarius in 2024 to 2025, bringing more aviation disruption, which could see as crashes, also major industry overhauls. The possible breakthrough of flight technology and regulations is expected to hopefully grow, but we will really see, right? And there may be more accidents that arise, but it is hard to tell. There's definitely some high risk aviation dates that kind of stand out with the energy of certain aspects. So a lot of people would say like Mercury retrograde in Aries would definitely be a challenging time. July 15th through August 5th of 2024, there was Mars-Uranus conjunct Taurus, where the energy could trigger unexpected crashes and explosions. Also, there was August 4th of 2028, where Mercury was retrograde in Virgo and Leo. So definitely look at the area of certain energies that you would like to research, or certain dates, or certain planar crashes that you would definitely like to go back and reference to. Another high date of possible disruption in aviation or in traffic controlling of the aviation would be October 24th. There was the Uranus opposite Venus and Sun eclipse that occurred October 2nd, 17th, and 31st. So those would definitely be days to look up, because solar eclipses often mark major world events, and aviation shakeups could definitely possibly be in the news. I didn't research every aviation shakeup because that would definitely be challenging. But we really saw this around December of 2024 on to January of 2025 and into February as this continues. And one of the things is Pluto-Uranus squares was getting very, very, I guess you could say, tightened, getting very, very aligned. And Pluto, the energy of destruction, squaring Uranus, aviation and technology. This aspect last occurred in the 1930s and 40s when aviation was on an all-time boom. And of course, when aviation is being, I guess you could say, worked through, there's multiple crashes. So definitely a time that aviation regulations from these accidents should be something that the industry is looking at, definitely. So we have to remember that there are some key takeaways when we look at the energy of aviation. I would definitely see one is the high risk of aviation accidents due to Mercury retrogrades, also Mars-Uranus clashes and mechanical fails. But it's hard to really predict when in aviation a crash will occur. But there's definitely been some challenges, right? And some people speculate that there will be more aviation crashes as we continue to move on to 2025, especially in the springtime of March 14th to April 7th. We will have a Mercury retrograde in Aries and also Pisces, which could bring the energy of delays, miscommunication, and mechanical issues. Also, Aries is very impulsive, and it is known to be an impulsive energy, where Pisces could bring that energy of fog and also illusions, that sometimes weather-related misjudgments, and also not being as clear and precise in some decision making. Also in May of 2025, we have Uranus moving into Gemini. So a lot of people are expecting something to occur with this transit where aviation overhaul begins. The energy of the last time that Uranus was in Gemini was in 1941 to 1949. We saw the massive advancements in aviation during World War II and the birth of the commercial travel. So it makes you wonder what is going to happen with aviation. Is it, going to be different? Is it going to change? Is there going to be stricter guidelines? Is there going to be more communication about these systematic errors? Also, there's going to be a major shift of aviation technology as we have AI, as we have so much artificial intelligence really taking place. It makes me wonder, what is going to come next. And especially we have Uranus moving into Gemini, which is another very, I guess you could say, chaotic energy. However, with new technical advances, that also means that there's going to be growing pains and struggles that could lead to unexpected failures and also a lot of controversial and controversy through aviation and also through air traffic. So it's definitely going to be something that we are going to look at. Some of the high key points of 2025 and high risk periods for crashes or disruptions would be January 13th, full moon opposing Pluto, which was very interesting because we did have that energy right around some of the crashes. And then also March 14th, April 7th, Mercury retrograde in Aries and Pisces. And July 16th through August 10th, Mars and Uranus in Gemini. And that could definitely be a time that could be a lot of possible disasters. And also November, we have the solar eclipses opposing Uranus in Taurus, where the industry is in a shockwave, as some might say. So we'll definitely see possibly, hopefully, some more potential breakthroughs right around May of 2025 when Uranus enters Gemini, and there might be a start of an aviation revolution. Also, September 2025, we have Jupiter conjunct Uranus with new technology, hopefully in the energy around flight and safety.
In less than 2 hours from the first attack, both towers would collapse. First, the South Tower, the building next door to Chief Fife.
On this day in history, July 16, 1999, American publisher and lawyer John F. Kennedy, Jr., the only son of U.S. President John F. Kennedy and First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, died after the airplane he was piloting crashed off Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. From his childhood years at the White House, Kennedy was the subject of much media scrutiny and later became a popular social figure in Manhattan. In 1989, Kennedy earned a JD degree from the New York University School of Law. He then failed the New York bar exam twice, before passing on his third try in July 1990. After failing the exam for a second time, Kennedy vowed that he would take it continuously until he was 95 years old or past. He worked as a prosecutor in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office for the next 4 years. In 1995, Kennedy and public relations magnate Michael Berman founded George, a politics as lifestyle and fashion monthly magazine, with Kennedy controlling 50% of the shares. Kennedy officially launched the magazine at a conference in Manhattan, joking that he had not seen so many reporters in one place since he failed his first bar exam. Kennedy took flying lessons at the Flight Safety Academy in Vero Beach, Florida. In April 1998, he received his pilot's license, which he had aspired to since he was a child. On July 16, 1999, Kennedy departed from Fairfield, New Jersey, at the controls of his Piper Saratoga light aircraft. He was traveling with his wife Carolyn and sister-in-law Lauren Bassett to attend the wedding of his cousin Rory Kennedy at Hyannisport, Massachusetts, after first taking Lauren to Martha's Vineyard. Carolyn and Lauren were passengers sitting in the second row of seats. Kennedy had checked in with the control tower at the Martha's Vineyard airport, but the plane was reported missing after it failed to arrive on schedule. On July 19, The fragments of Kennedy's plane were found by the NOAA vessel Rude using side-scan sonar. The National Transportation Safety Board determined that pilot error was the probable cause of the crash. Kennedy's failure to maintain control of the airplane during a descent over water at night, which was a result of spatial disorientation. If you're interested in learning more about this day in history, check out these books that are linked in our bio. If you use these links, you can support our page.
Lakers basketball star Kobe Bryant has been killed in a helicopter crash.
Definitely be tons and tons of conspiracies that have taken place with a lot of these airlines. One of the big ones is the Malaysian airline flight of MH370 back in 2014. So a lot of people believe that this could have been a government cover-up or even a hijacking. So what we know is that this flight disappeared over the Indian Ocean with 239 people on board. Some theories suggest that there was some type of remote hijacking by an external force. Could it be a cyber attack, secret military, or even possibly extraterrestrial activity? Some believe that they were shot down by accident, possibly the military, or maybe this was even a pilot unaliving. Some believe that the pilot was coerced or even undermined its own control. And of course, there is a lot of talk about the UFOs or extraterrestrial activity, or maybe some type of Bermuda Triangle-like disappearance. But there's been many strange radar abnormalities were reported around this time. With this energy of this flight, it makes you wonder like what is going on with a lot of the communication that surrounds air traffic control, and a lot of theories of what could have happened often are speculated. One of the conspiracies that, it just does not sit right with me, but we are going to talk about it, is 9/11. And I've heard this conspiracy multiple times. I know people talk about this conspiracy a lot. So 9/11, the official story is Al-Qaeda hijacked planes and crashed them into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. But conspiracy theorists, some believe that the US government allowed it to happen or orchestrated it as a false flag to justify war. And then there's the talk that the Pentagon impact doesn't match a plane crash where the wreckage occurred. I mean, we all saw the footage on the news or on, certain areas of media outlets, but some believe that this was a remote controlled aircraft and it was used instead of hijacked the planes. It's very like it just like makes me think like, oh my God, could the government really be this horrific and using this as, I guess, almost like an excuse to cause war? And I'll be honest, I would hate to believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe the conspiracies. I think that it was it was something that Al-Qaeda did because of terrorism and also because they just do not like Americans. And I do think it was a terrorist attack, but I know there's like tons of conspiracies that just make my stomach turn. Another one is Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash. And I'm a huge Lakers fan. My husband is, so I am forced into Laker fandomism, and he's a Kobe Bryant fan. This is another one that I just don't really believe, but it is something that people talk about, that Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash in 2020 was a sacrificial, almost like a ritual type of energy. Some conspiracy theorists claim that his death was planned sacrifice. And a lot of people believe it because they feel like there's a lot of pre-programming around the Kobe Bryant flight. I would hate to think that, but Kobe Bryant had lawsuits related to Big Farm and also the Black Mamba branding, and some believe that there could be some type of connection between these. Some also connect the Saturn and Pluto astrology transit during this time, having some powerful figures following, and they believe that powerful figure might have been Kobe Bryant. It's so sad, just so sad that him and his daughter and the people who were in the helicopter all lost their lives. And there was definitely some conversation of was the weather and was there safety regulations that were overlooked. So JF Kennedy Jr. plane crash in 1999. Some believe it might have been an assassination or some type of something happened in politics, or the government is just keeping very close lip about it. But this is the conspiracies. And like I said, I don't necessarily believe them. I'm just letting you guys know some of the major conspiracies around aviation. So some believe that these crash was en route to Martha's Vineyard, and some believe that he was assassinated to prevent him from entering politics, which I think is very interesting, because I think if JF Kennedy Jr. was to enter politics, there was a high chance that he might actually be very successful. But I don't understand why people would do such a horrific thing. So for me, I don't believe this, but the theory that his plane was sabotaged by the deep state operatives is linked to the Bush family. So that's very interesting, because the Bush family is Republican, and I believe John F. Kennedy Jr. was actually a Democrat. But I don't know. Very, very interesting that maybe they believe that the Bush family had something to do with it. I don't know. These conspiracy theorists, they're so kooky, but I just want to, let you guys know. So there is a lot of talk about chemtrails and aviation and weather manipulation. Some believe that commercial planes spray chemicals into the sky. It could be geoengineering, mind control, and even population control. Official sources say these just are trails of water evaporation, and that's what those chemtrails are, or those streaks in the sky that many of us see. I'll be honest, I don't think they're all water evaporation, but who knows? We also have to remember that there's a lot of agricultural things sprayed into the sky, so it's very interesting. Also, UFO and alien abductions of aircrafts. So multiple pilots have reported seeing UFOs before vanishing. So back in 1928 and 1986, flight of 1628 of 1986, a Japanese pilot claimed he was followed by a massive UFO for 50 minutes. Theorists believe that the plane disappeared due to an alien abduction or some type of secret space technology. Ooh, that's so creepy. And it really, really just kind of, turns my stomach. But I want to talk about some of the astrology that is linked into these. So the Malaysian flight of MH370, there was a Saturn and Scorpio that was taking place right around 2012 and also 2015. And what's interesting is that Saturn and Scorpio really talks about cover-ups and unresolved situations. There was also a Mars in squares Neptune and a Pluto in Capricorn, which has the energy of hidden agendas and also conflict. And you think of a plane disappearing, Mars squaring Neptune just feels like an area of deception and confusion. Then also the 9/11. So the 9/11, the astrology that kind of was taking place was we had Saturn in Gemini, And also we had a Virgo sun and the area of communication, transportation with the Saturn in Gemini from 2001, major disruption in communication and structure society. And also we had a Pluto in Sagittarius from 1995 to 2008, where the areas of transformation and also hidden agendas and the area of travel and foreign affairs might have been affected. Then we had a Uranus in Aquarius, which felt very sudden shock and revolutionary type of energy. And then we had the terrorist attacks and the perceived energy of war. We also had Mars in Aquarius. Mars in square Pluto, which was 2001. Mars, the area of action, and the energy of Pluto, very power and destructive. The Kobe Bryant helicopter crash, we had Saturn and Pluto conjunction taking place, and Capricorn rules authority, material sources, and hierarchies. And Kobe's death was marked as a fall of a global icon, of course. And then we had the Pluto-Sun opposition, where the Sun represents self, vitality, and public figures. And also the Pluto-Sun opposition suggests a power struggle and sudden energies of transformation. What's interesting is a lot of people believe that like LeBron somehow was influencing this type of energy. And then we have the shift of LeBron being one of the biggest celebrity athletes and being very seen as somebody who was very iconic as well. Uranus squares Saturn during this time, the tension between the old and the new and unexpected change. A lot of people felt this and saw these astrological transits. We also have JF Kennedy Jr.'s plane crash, and this time we had a Neptune in Aquarius, and Neptune is linked to mystery, technology, and also collective unconsciousness. And Kennedy's family legacy, we would definitely see that with hidden motives and mystery. And the areas of the Aquarius linked to how the collective sees it. Pluto squares Sun in the Pluto square Sun was occurring, and this time it was definitely suggest deep transformative events. And we had Uranus opposing Venus, relationships of financial matters definitely being highlighted. So we can only speculate, and we can only basically talk about what we think could be occurring during this time, but obviously it is hard to perceive, right? It's all just the energy of astrology and the concepts of what's occurring. I do hope that a lot of these crashes definitely don't continue, but let me know what you guys think in the comments about the astrological energy and around the energy of what has occurred during this time. And thanks for listening. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share it with your favorite witchy or astrological bestie. Bye guys. Have an amazing day.